The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, welcome to our shareholder webinar today. We're excited. We have Rob Grosshandler, who is the CEO, and my name is Melinda Moore, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer of iConsumer. And today we're going to be discussing what does it mean to be a shareholder and also how you can help us grow the company. So thank you again for taking the time to join. And I am going to hand this presentation over to Rob. We'll go through the presentation, and at the very end, we're going to leave time for questions and answers.
Oh, Melinda, thank you very much for that. It's actually an exciting day for us, and I'll get into a little bit why it's an exciting day. But just to sort of let you know what to expect, we are going to talk a bit about what it means to be a shareholder. Just a quick review of how iConsumer works, what makes it different, a little bit into what to expect over the next several months, a reminder that you can help grow the company that you own part of with our Refer a Friend program, plus a bit about how you can make sure that you're getting the most out of iConsumer from being an owner. And then most importantly, this gives us a chance to answer your questions. And frankly, it makes it much more interesting for us. So there's I'm incented to make sure that you ask questions. You have an interface in front of you. Just type your questions in, and we will get to them. Melinda will be watching that while I sit here and talk to my screen. Just a quick refresh as to who this is, and so you have the spellings of our names. Melinda runs all the marketing for iConsumer and does the job of making sure that what I say makes some sense, and then that's how you spell my long last name. It's phonetic, don't get too worried about it. So let's get right into it. You are a shareholder of iConsumer. That means you own stock in a company that is tradable on a market. In our case, it's the OTC market. Also very interesting, I think, is that your interests are exactly aligned with the interests of the bunch of us who have founded this company. That is, if we do well because we build this company, if we do well because you build this company, we all do better. So you're going to reap the benefits of the company's success. Hopefully our stock goes up. Sometimes stocks go down. We don't control that fundamentally, but we're going to do all that we can to make sure that our stock becomes more valuable, because you who are building this company and us who own a bunch of this company and building this company are going to win when that happens. And now, breaking news, your stock can be bought and sold via the OTC market. So if you go Google after the webinar, if you go Google OTCQB RWRDP, you're going to see something. And it's a pretty cool something. We've been working on this for 3 years. And yesterday it actually became sort of real, and this morning it became very real. So if you hear a bit of excitement in my voice, that's why. We've been working day and night on making it easy for ordinary people, the 99%, the people who are building iConsumer, to win when iConsumer wins. We're not done yet. It is still not easy to buy and sell our stock. There's a couple more pieces of this puzzle that we have to do. A little bit later today, we're going to have a blog post up that talks about the intricacies of this, but it is really, really exciting. So just a recap as to how iConsumer works, right? You go shop at one of those 1,700 stores, and I think one of these days we may break 1,800 stores. Those retailers pay us a commission. We share that commission with you in the form of Bitcoin. If you recall, until December of this year, we were sharing that commission with you in the form of cash back. We made a transition in December because of a bunch of things that are going to be happening in our future. And just frankly, Bitcoin is a bit sexier and more interesting, and it gives us a different way to talk about your company. So you go shop at one of those almost 1,800 retailers, and you're earning Bitcoin. You're earning Bitcoin. Now, here's what makes us even more special. I almost said specialer because I feel like it's specialer. You're owning the equity in iConsumer more of the equity in iConsumer every time you shop. You're getting equity as an additional reward. And as of today, you can go see on the market what people are willing to buy and sell that equity for. That's pretty cool. So this means that we're in a position to grow really, really nicely. And just to give you a little sense of how we've done to date, we started out with nobody way back in June of 2015 when we launched this thing. We're at around 50,000 folks today, and we're on our way. It says 100,000. This is a slide that's a little bit of a typo. We're on our way to even bigger and better things. We're going to talk about how we have a couple of goals. We have a goal of 250,000 members, and we have a goal of 1 million members. And to get to that goal, we're out raising money. Now, that does two things for you. As you'll see, and as you probably know, we have to have an effective offering, a qualified offering from the SEC in order to be able to issue shares to members who earn those shares. So many of you will have been issued and transferred shares previously because we had an open offering. But in order to get our stock traded on the OTC, we had to go through all sorts of gyrations. And one of those gyrations was stopping having an open qualified offering. We have at the SEC, we filed to have a new offering, and we expect that to happen the end of February. We don't control that. I have to say when and if, but when that happens, if that happens, we'll be selling shares at 15 cents a share. The last time we sold shares was at 9 cents a share. And if you take a look at what the bid and ask is at on the OTC, and I have a slide for you to see in just a second, you'll see that that gives us a market cap of around $50 million. So pretty cool. We have 217 million shares issued and outstanding. We borrowed a little bit of money in the fall quarter to keep our growth and to pay some bills. And we're really looking forward to that SEC offering being qualified because it's going to help us grow to our 250,000 shareholder mark. That's a really, really important mark for us because at that point, we believe that we're going to be earning sufficient money to be able to pay all our bills, that we don't need to go to the investment market to fund our growth. So 250,000 members is a really, really cool number to hit. I am be really excited when we hit that number. And then our stretch goal for the near term is 1 million members, because at 1 million members, we're doing even better, right? So if at 250,000 people we're cash flow positive or CA flow positive, CAHH, and this is another fun slide. You'll see that we're doing even better. I would like to offer up a bit of a note here. We have been so busy over the last couple of days because of the fact that we're now being quoted on the OTC that we've been distracted, and Melinda didn't have a chance to actually proofread these slides. So I sort of don't care. It's much more important to have gotten that OTC QB market stuff going than it is to have corrected the misspelling of CAH, but it's a little embarrassing. So a bit of a recap as to how we got here, right? And we took a little bit of a different route to being a publicly quoted company. We took the route that said we think that having a company that is owned by its customers, every shareholder a customer, every customer a shareholder, was really, really important. And that was what was going to be make us distinctive and unusual in this very, very crowded world. And so there was a whole bunch of new legislation that happened in 2012 called the Jobs Act. And we took advantage of that to do a Reg A plus offering, IPO. We ended up doing that in September of 2016. And since that time, and by the by, that makes us a very, very small company to be public. And so some of the things that you're going to hear us talk about and some of the things that we have to go through when Google went public, it didn't have the same challenges. but they also didn't want to have 50,000 shareholders, 250,000 shareholders, a million shareholders. Our goal is a million shareholders. We think we have a million shareholders. We are going to be unstoppable. So this timeline takes us through the fourth quarter of 2017. We're really pleased with where we came to. And as I said, in December of 2017, we transitioned to Bitcoin. And that, too, has been a really nice transition. It makes us, again, more distinctive than anything out there. It gives us a reason to talk about iConsumer. So just some notes that I wanted to hit, right? So we completed that offering in May of 2017. That was when the last time we issued stock. Once we have that new SEC offering in place, we'll be able to issue additional shares. We have about 50,000 shareholders. And this is just a weird one. The lawyers don't like calling us public, even though we have 50,000 shareholders, even though we have our stock quoted on the OTC, because Reg A is a weird kind of thing. So I'm doing this just for the lawyers. If you're a lawyer out there, an SEC lawyer, I am not really calling us public. We're just a really, really, really large private company with 50,000 shareholders. And here's the proof that we're a weird kind of public company, because you can go Google us. This was from this morning. And I am going to try something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Take the pointer, and I'm going to click the laser pointer, and I'm going to do this. And did that do anything? No. All right. So right there, you see, I hope you're seeing. Melinda, can you see me marking on the screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. This is so cool, right? So somebody out there has said that they're willing to buy iConsumer stock, up to 2,500 shares of iConsumer stock at 25 cents a share, right? And the same person is saying, hey, you want to buy some stock from me? I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for $10,000. And if he buys a share for 25 cents, or she buys the share for 25 cents and is able to sell that share for $10,000, they've made a lot of money. That's called the spread. And this is an unusual spread. It's still very, very early in the trading life of iConsumer. You won't see that happen for much longer. But right now, as we're getting started, it is really, really exciting to see that. And here you see that we have 107 million shares of the stock that's trading. This is our preferred stock. And that's pretty cool. So if you want to try to figure out the market cap of iConsumer, you take some number between here and here, and you multiply that by 107 million shares, and then there's 100 million shares of common stock that doesn't trade, and that's how you get the market cap of iConsumer. It's pretty fun. It's a little complex. We're going to be doing a lot over on Shareholder Academy now that we're actually trading to make it more understandable. We know that a lot of people who are iConsumer investors, because either they bought stock in our offering, or they got stock because they went and shopped and made us a profit. Many folks have not previously owned stock in a traded company. And we think it's very important to share what we know, or share what other people know, to help us all be better shareholders. Obviously, this webinar is one of the ways that we do that. So let's say you're happy to be an iConsumer shareholder and you want to increase your ownership. I think that's a really, really good idea. So first and foremost, always shop on iConsumer to earn more shares. There are 3 ways to do that. You can use our website, www.iconsumer.com. You can use the iConsumer button. iConsumer.com/button will help download a browser add-on extension, or you can go get one of our apps. We have a iOS app for iPads and for iPhones, and an Android app for Android-based phones and tablets. And it is really, really easy to use, because why not earn some Bitcoin and earn our equity every time you shop for stuff you need or stuff you want? Another way to do it is we have a new Refer a Friend program. We've always had a Refer a Friend program, but we've upped our game. And if you go to our site to tell a friend, you'll see the details of it. But fundamentally, every time you refer a friend who shops at iConsumer, the first time they shop, you're going to earn $5 in Bitcoin. And every time they shop, you're going to earn 5% of what they earn. So no matter how long they're a member of iConsumer, they're going to be evergreen. You are going to be earning money when they're earning money. You're going to be earning Bitcoin. And I don't know if you've been watching Bitcoin. It's been going up and down recently, and today it's very, very up. So that's a pretty cool thing. And of course, your friend is going to earn something when they make that first purchase as well. They're going to become an iConsumer shareholder. You are welcome to invest in iConsumer. We still need to raise additional capital. We have a live campaign over at Crowdfunder, crowdfunder.com/iConsumer. And then lastly, and not most importantly or least importantly, you can go buy our stock on the market, the OTCQB. Now, in that case, you're not actually putting money into iConsumer's pockets. You're putting money into an iConsumer shareholder's pocket if you went and bought those shares. But it helps the shares of iConsumer become more valuable. The more people who want to buy our shares, most likely the higher the price of our shares will go. And because we're still out there trying to raise money in that offering, if the share price goes up, it will make it easier for us to sell shares in that offering. I'm going to have to take diction lessons here. Sell shares in that offering. We also have some other opportunities for you to get information from us. And again, I want to say, ask questions. We will do our darndest to answer them. And if we aren't able to answer them live, we'll make sure that we email you stuff. And then also, just so you know, we are recording this webinar, and we will be posting this webinar probably late this afternoon, and we will send everybody a link to the webinar. So if you've been taking notes, that's great. I should have said something at the beginning. I didn't. I'm so excited about our stock being traded, but there is going to be a link to a recording of this webinar. So shareholderacademy.com is, I happen to think, way cool. It is a separate site from iConsumer, and it's meant to help the first-time investor in a crowd-funded company learn what it's like, what you do, what other people are saying, stuff about trading online, all the information that it might take to be an educated consumer. If you're also interested in what's going on, the 2012 Jobs Act, if you want something that's really going to put you to sleep at night, is something to read. I've read it, at least the parts that apply to us. I'm not sure you want to read it. And then lastly, we have a learning center. There's a learning center as part of Shareholder Academy, and there's a knowledge base. Support.iconsumer.com is available to you as well. And there, even after this webinar is over, you're able to ask us questions, and our staff is on the case. Sometimes it feels like 24/7. It's not usually 24/7, but we're getting closer. So you have an opportunity to ask us questions now and ask us questions later. And then I have a last slide, which reminds me to ask Melinda, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, we definitely have a few questions coming in, so it may be a good time to take some questions. So our first question is from Aaron, and Aaron is asking, for tax purposes, the stocks that we've purchased, who do we contact to get our information that we need to do our taxes? So this is a tax question.
All right, so I'm not a tax attorney. I don't even play one on TV. So the stock that you've purchased, if you're an investor in iConsumer, you're not going to have a tax consequence until you sell it. And you will be able to get a statement if you own stock and it's been issued to you and it's on the books of our transfer agent, Issuer Direct. They will issue you a statement. Once you transfer those stocks into a brokerage firm like TD Ameritrade or Robinhood and sell the stock, your cost basis will transfer with you to the brokerage, and they will say, hey, you sold it for X, you bought it for Y, the difference is Z, and this is what you have to report to the IRS. The other way you get stock at iConsumer is you earn it as a rebate when you go shopping, and because it's a rebate, it's not taxable. It's actually a reduction in the price that you paid, so you don't need to pay tax. Then the other way you earn stock at iConsumer or Bitcoin is when you do a referral thing or it's a bonus, and that is taxable to you. And if you earn more than $600 from whatever source, remember, the rebates don't count. It's just the bonuses and referral payments and so forth. If it's over $600, we will send you a 1099. Long-winded answer, but taxes are complex.
Great. We have a few more questions. Do you have live captioning or a transcript of this webinar? We are actually going to put this webinar up on our social channels and also on our YouTube channel. So you can easily share this live webinar that we're doing now with friends, family members, or on your social channels. Thank you, Jennifer, for asking that. When can we transfer Bitcoin to our wallet or exchange like Coinbase? That's an excellent question. Rob, do you want to? This is coming in from Matthew.
Well, Matthew, thank you for that question. It's a very timely question. So if you notice on our site, we talk about pending Bitcoin and earned Bitcoin. And it will remain pending for approximately 3 months after it's been credited to you. So you go shop on January 1st and you earned, let's say you bought a house and you got 1 Bitcoin for buying that house. 3 months later, 90 days later, give or take, once it's impossible for you to return the house, we'll say that that Bitcoin has gone from pending to earned. The moment it's earned, you will be able to transfer it to a wallet or to an account at Coinbase or whichever exchange that you're interested in doing. I shouldn't say whatever exchange, but more or less whatever exchange that you're interested in doing it. If you don't have a wallet or an account in exchange, there's no rush to create one. We're going to keep track of that Bitcoin for you for as long as you would like us to keep track of it, just the way we keep track of the shares of stock. So you don't have to hurry to transfer it.
Great. We still have more questions rolling in. Jonathan has a question. What happens to my cash since I was a customer before the Bitcoin conversation and hold both cash and Bitcoin? That's another great question.
It is another great question. So we understand that we aren't offering cash anymore, but you can, once that Bitcoin becomes earned, tell us to take enough Bitcoin and make it into cash so that we send you a check for that $25. So it's not stranded. Keep shopping. You're earning some Bitcoin. You can tell us to change that Bitcoin into cash at the same price as you earned it, 3 months ago. And that way you'll get a check from us. We don't want anybody's money to be stuck inside of iConsumer.
Okay, it looks like more questions coming in. With iConsumer hitting the OTCQB now, would it be safe to assume that all purchases made through iConsumer website or app that the stock rebate earned would now be a fluctuating value versus the current 27 cents per share as the site says now? If so, will there be more detail included in our stats area of the website to see the information in more detail per transaction?
That is a great question. You must work for our auditors, Virgil. So it's not yet safe to assume that. Because the market is still extremely illiquid, the fact that someone is willing to pay 25 cents and willing to sell at $10,000 suggests that number doesn't really reflect the actual value of iConsumer. So we've agreed with our auditors that until there is a liquid market, that we're going to use the last offering price of iConsumer. Right now, that's 9 cents. After we get, after and if we get qualified with the SEC, that will be 15 cents until we raise or lower it based on whatever factors happen. And so we're going to be using 9 cents now, 15 cents starting probably sometime in March. Looking forward, we're probably not going to try to reprice every day. That would be a little bit painful. So the conversation with our auditors has been, do we use an average or a rolling average or the closing price on the last day of the month? Something along those lines. We don't think that marking to market every day is going to be good for anybody. So we'll come up with a less volatile measure to mark to. But so Virgil, you're just a couple of months, maybe a couple of years. We don't know how long it's going to take to have a truly liquid market ahead of time with your question, but it's a great question.
And Matthew has another question. Is moving shares to brokerage also at 90 days?
So moving shares to a brokerage is dependent on a couple of things. First, yes, they have to go from pending to earned, right? Again, we need to allow time for returns and that kind of mechanical stuff to happen. It is also depending on whether the SEC has said you are allowed to do this. So it will be, we are allowed to issue and transfer shares. You tell us to issue and transfer shares, and those shares have been earned, not no longer pending.
Okay, any other questions? Does anybody out there have any other questions? I think that's about it. I mean, I as a marketing person, I want to say we are really excited to have our new Refer a Friend program, where Rob had said earlier, where once the person that you refer shops, you earn $5 in Bitcoin, and then you earn 5% of their lifetime earnings, which is, we think, a really compelling offer. And we've made it easy to share that through your social channels through our Tell a Friend link, which is directly on the top nav bar, both on our mobile apps and on our desktop version. So we just want to encourage everybody to kind of share that. And Bitcoin is well over 11,000 today and seems to be, at the moment, although very volatile, on an upward swing. So that's obviously exciting. Does anybody have any last shares before we say goodbye for this webinar?
We have one last one from Aaron. We have two last ones. We said we were going to keep this to half an hour, so I'm going to go really, really quickly.
Okay.
Let's see in detail how to calculate how much Bitcoin is earned. So Matthew asked how much Bitcoin is earned. So we show you the percentage of the purchase price that's going to be rebated to you in Bitcoin. Let's say that's 1%. So if it's $100 and it's 1%, you're going to get $1 in Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin is going to be priced at the closing price on the Gemini exchange at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which which is the same time as when Bitcoin futures are priced. So you see 1% rebate in Bitcoin. A $100 purchase means that that's $1, and that means you're going to get $1 of Bitcoin at that day's 4 o'clock price. The other question was, what kind of fees? So the fees for transferring Bitcoin will completely depend on where you're transferring them. We do not intend to charge any fees whatsoever for you to transfer Bitcoin off of iConsumer and into a wallet or an exchange. Fees for transferring stock, we're still negotiating a little bit now that we've got our ticker symbol and the stock is actually out there being quoted. we have a little bit better position to have a conversation with all the people in the process who want to charge everybody money and get them to charge us a little bit less money or no money at all. We have 50,000 shareholders or shareholders in waiting, and we're trying to leverage that to be good for everybody. So Matthew and Aaron, thank you for those questions. It is 1:30. We promised half an hour, and so thank you to everybody for being an iConsumer customer. Thank you to everybody for being an iConsumer member. Go tell your friends, because I really, really want to hit that 250,000 member number, and let's watch our stock price go up. It'll sometimes go down. Let's all work together to make that stock price go up. Thank you all.